Welcome back to episode 16 on the moon. Here we are in our base, looking around, and have a bit of construction going on in this episode. A couple things we're trying to accomplish. One is I want to set up a area beneath the base, which I started in the previous episode, for setting up deep miners. And for that, I want to provide its own power solution due to the fact that each deep miner consumes about 500 watts each. I also want to pull those solar trackers off of the building and move them somewhere else. And so because of those two requirements, I'm going to build a whole new area for a solar array. Then inside here, we trying to get these farms up and running. So this is farm 2, waiting for the plants to get going, and then work on farm 3 and farm 4. And we have that fractional pollutant from some indoor painting. Oh, note on the robot arms. Apparently, not in the update that just dropped on the 13th of August, but an update after that, apparently, there will be significant changes to how the robot arm system works. The features are greatly enhancing it. So my current script pretty much will be, pretty much worthless after that. So basically I'm not going to make any real changes to what I have supporting the robots. We'll just kind of milk what we have, and then when that big update comes in, I'll go back and refactor everything depending on the type of changes. Things like, for example, it can hold 2 things at one time, so it can hold like seed and wheat at one time, things like that. So that should be interesting. Looks like they kind of like that feature, and they're going to keep pushing it forward. Sometime I think they're going to try to turn Stationeers into sort of a first-person factory game, which is getting closer and closer to that. But then generally, depending on how you play, you can start off with, start off as a survival type of game, and that start can be as easy as hard as you want. But at some point, once you get established, then you really becomes a factory type game when you start automating everything, and you're not really worried about the survival aspects of it. Especially when you kick in trading and you can just trade for a lot of items. Alright, so, and there'll be, the raw video for this episode is like an hour and a half, so I'm going to be a little aggressive on speeding up the construction sequences here. So didn't really know where to put the new array of solar panels at, and I wanted to kind of get away from the base so they don't block the view, and so I kind of figure I stick them back here. And then it gives me a lot of room for growth. I really want to add more and pack them in. So we'll just kind of build a little platform there. So all this will just be, oops, one too many welds there. Then I'm going to use the large station battery. So I'll basically put 3 large station batteries, and 1 battery is sort of dedicated for the sort of the ground floor here, and another battery is dedicated for the hydroponic and gas processing area, and then the third one will be dedicated for the deep miners and ore processing type components. And initially, the deep miner area will not be pressurized, although I've considered long-term pressurizing that by putting glass panels around the deep miners themselves. So you can see them run, but you can allow you to put atmosphere in there. But that's a little ways off. I want to get those things running. In general, we're trying to move into a more self-sufficient type of base design here that does not require any mining or trading to keep everything going. When I get to the point of just dumping oxygen out because I have too much of it, then or specifically start dumping volatiles, you have too much of that. That's really sort of the knowing you're doing well, at least for the moon. So here, yeah, building a lot of, built a lot of frames, a lot of steel sheets. And I'll have to build some solar panels, and then we'll go ahead and set up another sensor and IC chip to control these solar units down here. And now this will be all wired with heavy cables. That allows me to put as many solar units and cross connect them all. And then once I have that side doing pretty well, I'll reroute the batteries over to the main base, and then I'll strip out those panels, pull those batteries, don't need those anymore, and then go ahead and clean up the top part of the base. And then once I clean those solar panels off, it'll allow me to run cabling across the ceiling there, and then I can get the lighting in here working correctly. So everything's sort of this chain effect that do this, I gotta do that. And so one gate is getting the power moved effectively. And then while we're messing with that, and we can't really get the deep miners running until we have the power situation taken care of, although we can at least get some of that construction going on. And then while with all that going on, we want to get our 4 farms up and running. So this will be farm 4. So we need a whole bunch of those, 34 of those actually. Yeah, and laying these out, initially I was sort of like snaking my way back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but it seems a little more efficient just sort of lay out the middle ones and drop the end pieces on. Now for this one here, I kind of, because I had to restart it, it's going to get to the end, and that end piece was not going to have enough time to grow when it swaps around. So my thought is sort of like monitor it and just turn it off at a certain point and let the plants catch up. Unfortunately, I forget to do that, but it's no big deal. We'll take care of that. And printed up some more solar units, and we'll grab all this heavy cable we have. Yeah, so print another housing and integrated chip for the additional solar control that we'll put on the other section. We want to keep the solar panels we have above us running during this switchover. Yeah, I was sort of thinking about power solutions for the moon, and specifically power solutions that are can be automated, we'll say. Obviously, solar is a really good solution for the moon. And then the other solutions that can be automated is one is using, if you take biomass and you run it through a furnace, you'll get volatiles and pollutants, but you also get charcoal. That charcoal can then be burned in a solid generator to generate power. Now you need to use logic for that because it won't burn efficiently if you just kind of throw a big pile in there. You got to like feed one by one in there. That's pretty simple logic. Now, one thing about the charcoal, if you make charcoal, which is taking biomass and run it through an arc furnace, or you can use a normal furnace too. The concern with a normal furnace is a cooling effect. You got to heat it back up again, so you have to deal with that issue. And then extracting the gas from the gas that's inside the furnace. So I think if you get the power, which we do, I think using an arc furnace is probably more sufficient. Anyway, so you take the biomass, you run it through an arc furnace or other furnace. That gives you volatile. So now you have a volatile solution, and pollutants will just dump because we don't really need that. If you take that and you run it back through the arc furnace again, then you'll get CO2 and I think maybe more volatiles. More pollutants. Which means if you take that double run charcoal and put it through a solid generator, it will not off gas. Although I'm not sure if the generator generates heat in that condition or not. Now, one advantage of running it through the arc furnace twice, or having two arc furnaces, the first pass does the charcoal and the second pass sort of degasses it. It allows you to collect that gas all in one place. So now you can collect the volatiles which you want from the first pass, and then you can at the same time, when you run it through the second arc furnace, say in the same contained area, you now can extract the CO2, and then you discard all the pollutants out of that. So now you have this, assuming you have biomass, you have a source of both volatiles and carbon dioxide in a automated form. So then that solves that problem, because you need the CO2 for the plants and you need the volatiles so you can make water and rocket fuel if you want to go that route. And then with that final charcoal, you can either use it to make steel, or you go ahead and throw it through a solid generator for power. Now the other route with biomass, you throw that into an advanced composter, and that will give you fertilizer and volatiles, and what else comes out of there? I'm not sure. I think it's carbon dioxide, possibly. So that gives you another solution, and the fertilizer you can use to accelerate the plant growth, which gives you more plants, which means you can run it through more often and give you more biomass. But currently I don't have anything set up to deal with fertilizer with my farm set up yet. Although we should get coal from the deep miners, so with that gives us a source of, if we want to run that through a solid generator, that gives us an option for power. Kind of looking at the setup there so I can replicate it over here. I'm not really sure where to put this, and I think I'm going to move this in some future episode, but we'll kind of put it here for now. And I'm kind of like, now my script depends on the day center having a certain particular orientation, although we're a little more flexible for the solar panels themselves. Throw off my jetpack a little too soon there. Yeah, there's times that I think Vulcan is the easiest planet because effectively you get, free volatiles and free CO2, which is the two things that, requires a bit of a setup to generate on the other planets. I mean, so if you need volatiles on any place except for Vulcan, this is assumed automated, not manually going out and finding volatile ice out there. Is effectively you have to go through and you got to grow something, a lot of it. You have to then run it through a recycler, then run it through a centrifuge, which requires automation and kind of painful. Decide whether you electric or gas centrifuge, and a gas centrifuge, of course, requires gas. So another consumption of your volatile. So now you have biomass. Now you got to go ahead and run it either through a composter or arc furnace, burn that or process that, and then collect the volatiles in that long chain. And on Vulcan, you just wait tonight and pull it out of the air and cool it down a little bit, and you're done. Very simple. So two things I learned in this little setup here is one is, which I thought wasn't true, if you rename something that's already been set, one of the data ports of the housing, then you lose that connection. I thought renaming didn't do that, but apparently it does. And then the other issue is I put this APC on here so it can charge directly off the solar panels. And, I'll put a large battery for, okay, those panels will more than charge that unit. Well, when I put those station batteries, the lower station battery, apparently they get priority over the APC and they just suck all the energy up. I believe if I put a transformer on there, that might solve it. I'm not sure what the charging priority is. Who gets what power. What I'm doing, I'm just duplicating the code I have in the existing solar tracker. I just pull the chip off, do an import, put the other chip in there, do an export. Effectively just duped it. Bring up a lot more heavy cables.
Power low.
Yeah, I typically don't use these really large batteries, but in this case, I don't want to waste the energy, and I'm going to start putting some big demand on it. I think, at least depending how many deep miners I install. Drop that in so they track. And we get that error, and that's because I set it, rename the unit, and then I just have to pop it over. Kind of wondering why it's going off. I was thinking about going back and look at the code again, what that line was, and I go, well, it has to be this. So we'll just go to do that and pop that there, and they're working. Most of them. Yeah, those two panels in front of you block the ones in the back that are not tracking. I'll discover that a little later. Kind of funny that they block the two bad ones. You see them back there, they're not tracking. They're kind of hiding back there. And so I'm just kind of placing it, kind of figure out how I'm going to wire this up here. think I overthink this cabling issue. Even this, I don't think I really care for this cabling design, so I might change it around a little bit later on, but it is functional. I didn't print any electronic parts. I didn't pre-look what I need to make that battery. Just figured, well, I'll just highlight it if I need something. I'll just go get it. So I'm gonna go in here and got another one. Doing all that mining and doing those really big batches of super alloys are paying off now. Putting up 6 because I'm going to have 3 of those large station batteries set up. And as you saw, they're all cross-connected, so if one of those things charged up all the way up, the power goes to the other ones. So, and I'll put a third one here later on. I think the one in the middle is what I'm going to use for the deep miners down below. And voila. If I turn these on, and they'll start charging. And right about now I go, oh, do I even see it? I don't know if I noticed the bad panels. We'll close this up to be neat and tidy. And it's got 99, so I'm thinking yeah, that's when I go, uh-oh. Yeah, I did the same thing before. I have it set for a single connection coming out for both power and data, and then I switch stacks and it goes back to the default, and I missed it. Thought I was getting better at that. But a simple fix. Yeah, the verticals are all the same, so they're not based on names, so they start moving immediately, and then the name is used for the horizontal. Or maybe the other way around. Okay, we need to put more in here, obviously. I want to get just the basics in here, just to get the kind of layout, and then I just start adding more. And let's see, if each one generates 500 watts, and we can do like at 100,000, so it's like 200 of those things up there. It's a lot of solar panels. So during this voiceover, the update called bug fixing came out, but the actual recording of the game itself was done before that update came out. So none of those changes are in here, including the changes to the double click. I tried that out. If you use like the right click or the right click on the mouse to quickly move things back and forth, and then the G key to put things back where it belongs, and that seems to work. I think it's definitely an improvement. I have to work on the muscle memory, you know, get used to it, but that shouldn't take too long. So here I am. This is this big cavern underneath the lower part of my base. And I said initially it's just going to be open to the vacuum. It's a large space, and I'll put the deep miners in here. But I think at some point I have the option at some point to put an atmosphere in here. And the whole thing is like, it's going to be huge because, well, I guess that's relative, because it's right under the main base. And what I want to do, I want to take it all the way down to the end. Getting pretty big for a moon base. And that way I can run the power down from one of those batteries. I actually meant to come in from the upper floor. Got plants going in here. I haven't checked how the my O2 generation is doing right now. I don't have any ferns, but I have a lot of plants going. So it should be positive. And you might have noticed I've not built any facilities for trading. For the moon, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to trade for the moon. I think we'll go the rocket route. And that's once we get things more, until we're actually generating our own volatiles. Get that going. Yeah, this episode has a lot of construction going on. That's why I sped up a lot of it. But I think once we get past this, then get all this set up and going here, and that'll speed up the all the work. So what I'm doing here, I cut a hole through the floor. I'm digging down because I want to know how far I have to dig to get to that end, and because I want to drop the cable down right about, at that end where the batteries are at. So I'm thinking the middle battery will drop down, and then, but I didn't want to go past it underneath it. So I figured I'd just do that, and then that gives me a little marker location. And then it gives me an area to dig out further, and I need more frames and swap batteries. I have an Omni transmitter up there. I could probably build some more wireless batteries. And my little pile of steel is getting smaller. Now, I did make a bunch of steel. A lot of those are in groups of 200 over there. Decided to make a bunch of frames, so we'll just crank those out. Burning down my ingot supply there. Okay, so this is all at 5x because we're just do a lot of digging and mining and laying out frames, and try not to over dig too much. Now I'm going up to where that edge is. I think I might move that wall a little bit and see how the cables lay out. So I get all the frames in this episode. I might move a few around, but the bulk of that underground work will be done. I build 2 deep miners, although I don't install them yet. I need to get to bump the power situation a little bit. Possibly some more frames to add more solar trackers. We're just mining along all this stuff. So I'm pretty sure I can put a crap load of deep miners down in here. And then, so basically, I think one side will have the miners, and the other side I'll do the ore processing. I think because of lack of atmosphere and the abundance of power, I think I might just use for this planet, just for the moon, just use a my hole in the ground. Just kind of see how everything lines up. Yeah, I think I went one frame too far because I want to. Those batteries are sitting there, and I want to loop that power down. So we'll just minor change. And we collected some stuff during the boring out. Surprising enough. Okay, I'm getting a bit silly on the battery swap, so I did write a note to myself for next episode to make a bunch of wireless batteries, and specifically the ones for tools that I only use next to the base. So hopefully get that issue resolved. One less thing to worry about. Probably have enough frames at this point. So one thing I think I did wrong when I started this episode is I built the initial base too low to the ground. And so I thought about putting like solar panels on the either side or around the base, but I didn't want to block the view. If that's a silly reason for not installing solar panels. But if I built this area up higher, say a couple frames higher than the environment around me, then I could have surrounded the base with solar panels. And I really don't care if the base sort of eclipses them. That wouldn't be a big deal. I just put so many out there, it's like it doesn't matter. So base, you have this base that goes up higher with field of solar panels all around it. And but that depends on the base being higher up. So when I look out, I don't stare at the side of a panel. So if I built it, say, 3 frames higher than I did, or maybe even 6 frames higher, then that gives me room to build down and kind of build stuff around it without impacting the view. But I thought moving it, but that's just going to be way too much work. So I end up putting the solar stuff way in the back, sort of, to deal with that problem. Makes for a pretty long base, but it's a way in the back, and so you don't have to access it pretty rarely. Once it's set up and going. All right, so we're running around cleaning up all this stuff. I think some of the stuff grows back between saves, depending on how you cut it. I'm not sure. Because I swore, it been a while ago that I had the base, something nice and clean, and I come back later on, and I notice a little bit of material poking through the floors again, so then I got to rip off flooring and dig down. A little overkill here. And I can always take out more. Okay, so we basically have the flooring down. I'm just kind of cleaning up the ceiling a little bit. Now I can't clean up that ceiling without pulling off frames, which will cause a vacuum in the base. All right, we close that off for now so I don't fall in the hole. And so we have some more frames. We'll expand out the platform for the solar panels. And I said I'll run cables from that end to this end, heavy cables, and then we'll just strip out those solar panels, move those over, and then clean up the roof or remove all those iron pieces and go to all steel and get our lights up and running, and we're all in a happy place. Just going to my battery. Yeah. I wrote down wireless batteries. as the old saying goes, do as I say, not as I do. Oh, almost thought. All right, I need to do one more Uber battery here, so I need some more stuff. Steel and okay, I like that little chute that goes through the glass there. I think that's kind of cool. I don't think I've ever seen someone do it that way as a way to move ingots from outside to inside. But they're probably smarter in smelting inside than outside, but yeah, the full automated, ingot creation, that's still a ways out. We want to get the miners going before that happens.
Power low.
Step by step. And get rid of that battery warning. Now, if you would have glanced at farm 1 as I came in, you might have noticed that it was empty. Because remember, I don't even notice it now. Gotta ignore it. If I can get this ladder. When I said before I'm going to wait till it gets almost to the end and pause it, well, I got busy with construction and didn't pause it. And that's partly because the logic, and I've said this before, the logic is not very smart, and I haven't upgraded it. And now, since I know they're doing a big update of how that all works, I'm just going to wait until that happens. So once they do the big update, then I'll go back and refactor that code, and I'll make it more intelligent to deal with some of these edge cases. What I really would like is a look-down virtual camera on the robot arm. So when it's over something, it can look down and see if anything's there. Yeah, I wiped it out. Did a good job though, cleaned it right up. So we'll take that off. I should have turned off the chip. Turn off the housing. So what I'm doing is waiting for, it has a command, and it's like it was told to go someplace, so it's moving there. So when it gets done, it becomes idle, and then I can move it back manually. And then I just replant. So basically we'll just start off from scratch. And we have all that wheat we gathered. I also have a bunch of wheat upstairs if I really needed it. Get smacked by the arm here. Anyway, so the robot camera / probe. So if it's over like a tray, it can sort of look and tell you if something's there and what it is. So, if it was empty, but know it's empty, or if it's like nothing, like something growing, so there's nothing really, or, per se. Basically, it sort of takes over the functionality of a device tray by having the robot over it, so it becomes like a virtual device tray. And that would solve a lot of problems. That would give you a lot of options for doing some really clever things. And then you wouldn't need device trays, because a robot arm could look over the object and see what's there, what the state of it is, and make decisions on that. Versus having to grab it first, because the problem with grabbing it, if it doesn't actually have plants, wrong. I should color code these. The other one. Okay. I was trying to name it. I was making sure it has a name on it, so it's already been named. Alright, so I'm kind of looking over here what I did over here. I'm just going to sort of replicate it. And so I need to get a import bin. And that's one of those power chutes. And I'm kind of looking around, running how I'm going to run how to connect these up with chutes. And I think I'm going to run the chute because I have a constraint, which is sort of that glass ceiling area between floors I put in. I didn't want to run a chute across that, just for aesthetics. Forgot that the power chutes were pretty hungry as far as the alloys. And I'm going to make some more electron coming up pretty soon. Fortunately, that's pretty easy to make. No, I had the right one. I'm running out of iron too, so yeah, we'll need to do some more smelting coming up. Get back to mining. Okay, print one of those up. We're all out of glass up there. Yeah, we're going to need to do a whole bunch of shoots, but that's for the next episode. I decided not to do a stacker because long term they'll all be connected, so I'll have a single stacker. Actually, I don't think I need a stacker. I'll just have them all connected and go right into the recycler. And then it goes from the recycler directly into centrifuge, which effectively will accumulate them, pretty sure. And then at some point start the centrifuge and run that. Think about having two centrifuges, that way when one's running the other one's filling, and then when that gets like the A centrifuge is done, then I go ahead and effectively empty it out and start and once that one emptied out and idle, I'll switch to the other one, start it up, and then the original one becomes the one you fill, so you're always filling the A or B centrifuge. And then I use a digital chute switch so you can toggle between each one. And that should work. I haven't actually done that, but I think that will work pretty well. Anywho, so you saw I got that third battery installed, and I'm just going to clean up a little ore. Probably not already worth the effort. Also wrote a note to finally put an advanced airlock on the main airlock there, so I don't have to keep hitting the cancel button anymore. And someone told me if I just, program one of those, program the active vent manually, but I couldn't get that to work. The chip inside kept overriding the setting. Let me say it's my belief it was overriding the setting. Okay, so we need one of these. Kind of weird that the import bin is really the export bin for the logic. So I'm looking at how I'm going to run the chutes. So if I let me run some chutes, connect. How am I going to run this chute? I'm going like, I can't run it down there. I can't run it here. And I'm kind of like, not sure. So I decide, well, I'll worry about that later. I'll just let it run for this episode, and I'll think about it between episodes, how I'm going to run that. Actually, I think I know how I'm going to do it now. I'm looking at the other side, just laying the chip out the same way. And stare at the wiring, just copy that. So we'll get farm 2 up and running. So I don't put any chutes on it right now. And one thing I forgot, which I do rectify, if you do not have any chutes attached to the import bin, it does not work. So it just won't drop out the back. So you have to put at least one chute on there to make that happen. So then initially when I start up the farm 2, it doesn't actually, I'm looking at the what data settings are, so I don't have to look at the code again. So we call this farm 2 import bin, because we don't have them separated on transformers yet. Anyway, so I discovered that kind of early and put like a one chute on there. I don't put a stacker, so we have a little bit of a mess going on. And that just gives me a little incentive to get those chutes set up. And once I run that, then I could probably just throw them in a recycler. Maybe the output of recycler will put a stacker. That way I kind of throttle a little bit. And it'll be a lot of chutes, so it has a lot of room to back up. And the goal, well, if we're not processing the wheat fast enough, which is a nice problem to have, then we'll just have to replicate the whatever component is slowing us down. Okay, so now we're replicating the robot code. And this still doesn't have the auto turn on the robot arm logic, but this time I do remember to turn on the robot, I think. Yep, it's already on. All right, so it does that. We put this one here just to keep it there. We don't turn that one on yet. Okay, so we're growing here. We're getting ready to put farm 3 online, so we need to print up another arm. And there's the first thing, and it plants. Perfect. As it should. Yeah, the way they're going, you'll be able to do a lot of crazy things with the robot arms pretty soon. Start hitting the problem of the IC chip becomes this limitation where you can only put so much in it, or you're stuck stripping out all the comments and doing we'll call it suboptimum programming techniques just to pack it in there, which is, I guess the way it used to work a long time ago with 8-bit processors. We do the weirdest tricks to save a byte. I knew one guy just on a mainframe. He spent, I don't know, a week or two to save like a single word. And the reason for that, it needed to sit in cache. And so he had it was like just a little too big for the cache boundary. So, and by squeezing that one word and getting it down, it fit within that cache boundary. And that was a significant perf improvement. Now it would function the way it was, but it was really not optimal performance-wise. And back then, every cycle really mattered. And that was all similar work. Okay, so we got another grow light. And let's get for farm 4. Some more trays. I hope all those farms are Kicking out a lot of O2. Need some more pipes here too. Gonna run out. As you see, I can actually fit 4 farms in here with a bit of room on the end. So I don't have to move the don't have to move anything on the other far end. So that kind of worked out. Wasn't planned or anything, just kind of worked out that way. I mean, if only 3 fit, I only have 3 then. But 4 fits, so let's connect these over. Snake this down. And what I'll do, I'll just manually set it so it's in the same state as the other one, although it probably doesn't really matter. It'll synchronize soon enough. I am liking that staircase down the center of the base and going up and down and be able to run pipes up and down. So I kind of like this stacked design. And our diet of French fries here. And we'll have to pick some soy pretty soon for more French fries. I really wish that reagent processor was could be automated. You could do that, and you can have mountains of canned food come pouring out of the back of your base. Yeah, and at some point I'll have a no more mining or no more ice, no more oxide for the base, and try to be self-sufficient. See how we do. Yeah, my plan is without the ferns, just throw a lot of plants at it, and and that should give us enough O2 with the normal stuff. Or should I say the default plants provided for the standard moon start. All right. And yeah, and I go, nothing's coming out. Why is there something in there? What's wrong? And then why is it carrying wheat? And that's when I realized I need I actually did know this, I think. So then I realized what the problem was. And because I think I figured that out when I was just playing around with the initial robot stuff. So we'll just kind of stick it there for now. And then we'll grab the one in his hand. Oh, it's getting delivered, so that should be fine. Okay, so that worked. So, okay, so, all right. I didn't realize it can hold more than one wheat at a time. So my script is very, very inefficient. What it should do is it should keep picking until it can't pick anymore. Then move on. That would make it much faster. That would make it too fast. Okay. That's a serious performance issue there. But that's why I did this. You know, I did this and see how it runs, and then I kind of like watched it and, you know, look how, find out what the problems are. And I didn't realize it could pick multiple things and stack them in the hand. And I discovered that just because I had a missing chute. So that worked out. All right, so, and it wasn't for the fact that the big change was coming. I would change that script with the next thing, but we'll wait for that script change and we'll factor that information that we can stack within the hand or the robot arm. Yeah, that would definitely make it way faster. As I said, to make it too fast. Then I have to add delays between moving forward. Keep them going too quickly. But it also means if it's much faster, then one robot arm may be able to cover a 5 by 14 area, which is 2 grow light worth, versus having just drive one single 5 by 7 area. That cuts down on the robot arm cost. That's a lot of work for that poor little robot arm, but it may get away with that. So we'll have to play around with that. And some more French fries. We do that stack of canned goods, so and we have a bunch of the original cereal bars that we started with, and we can make cereal bars, so we're definitely no risk of running out of food here. Plus all the farm stuff is all matured. All right, so we got that's growing. That's run. Farm 2 is up and running. Messy. I'm looking at the ceiling again for the chutes. So I think I decide I'm going to run not the right there. Not there. Yeah, run the chute basically right next to the row of rails. So the rail closest, the last rail closest to the center line. Run the chutes right next to that all the way down, and then each individual farm will just go up and tee into that, and then take it all the way down to the end and cut over, and then build the raw processing down there, and then sort of move it. It'll kind of move down toward where all the insulated tanks are at. So I think that'll work out. And go ahead and put up a couple deep miners, get that going. Yeah, I'm thinking about using the robot arm with the deep miners. So just because, at least in some aspect of it. So avoid using sorters and just have the robot pick up the item, because it can identify what it is. So it can identify it with and drop it in the appropriate bin. All those bins are not cheap to make, but more for the coolness factor, if anything. It'd be kind of weird to have 20 or 30 robot arms running around doing stuff. And that's something else I didn't realize. You can put multiple robot stations can share the same set of railing. And they had a comment that right now they don't collide, but they're going to change that so they do collide and block each other. So there's a lot going in there. I need to dig in that stuff in the scenarios. But I'm saying hold off until they do the big update, and then we'll dive back into it again. Alright, so we're going to make some more solar panels here. Some deep miners going here, solar panels over there. Farming downstairs. We got a whole bunch of plants upstairs. Get this station or dock in. And we have some previously printed rails. So we'll do the same thing. We'll just kind of lay out 5 of these. Or maybe 4 of those. 4 of those. 1, 2, no 5. Because it's 7 all the way down. The 2. So 7 total. 2 endpoints are turns. So the ones in the middle will be 5. Yeah. Alright. So yeah, I didn't realize you can pick up multiple things. Alright. Well, good. We figured that out. Let's see what's going on here. It's going up, I think. I'm not using it for water yet, just checking what's going on here. So we got a bunch of CO2, checking the filter, make sure the filters haven't run out. So I don't have any alarms on here, unfortunately, not yet. So and also I go ahead and switch to heavy filters, so they'll last a lot longer. And I figure I'd check these out while we're down here. Yeah. Need to finish that room. Oh, we got a deep miner. Still have to assemble it. Yeah, something else they mentioned. I think the those docking stations. They're going to be not just pop. They're going to require multiple things to construct them. I believe they're going to make it a little more complex constructing them. So if you're in a scenario, build all your robot arms now. They'll get more interesting later on, I guess. Yeah, I could put like just a hole in the right place and just drop down into the hole and not require using a staircase. Sort of a bat pole type of setup. Got a lot of wheat going on down here. I think got a second deep miner going on. Need a lot more rails. And no glass. I'm not going to worry about those. This episode is definitely getting long at this point, so and I said I try to speed up a lot of the sections. There's a lot going on. Yeah, I got plenty of power, so I don't need to be so picky about that. Okay, let those rails go. Gotta make sure I didn't print too many rails up. Okay, got some more of those, and check our batteries while we're here, and they're charging slowly. There's not a lot of they're pretty big batteries, obviously, and not a lot of, doesn't really matter where I put them since they're all cross connected. Yep. put one over there, two over there, and stick one over here for now. Find my heavy cable. And so what I'll do is I'll fill out the other two rows, and then once that's going, then I can always go further or just actually put panels between the rows and I'll just really pack them in there. Spell solar and 270 with the port facing that way. And why isn't that going? Why aren't they moving? What's going on? This is why I discovered that. Why isn't my battery charging? All right, so my question to those out there, if I put a transformer on there, so between the main solar raw power, put a transformer, and then the output of the transformer goes to the APC, would that resolve the issue? In other words, can a transformer get its share of power when it's fighting with those big batteries, or will it starve just like the APC starved? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to yank this off. I'm going to put a transformer down there, and I'm running it to get a transformer, which I have. And I'm just going to use that big obviously I have power right there on that battery, so I'll just put the transformer off with the big guy. And I do that because I'm running the heavy cable there, and I run little cable here. Now, of course, that other cable's in the way, so I have to do this little flippy thing. And then we'll change that to there. Okay, so now it's got plenty of battery power, and the big battery can fight for power just fine. So that solves that issue. It's not as neat as I like, but I probably will move things around in some future episode. Famous last words. Yeah, I went through the wrong airlock. Too many airlocks. I need to put some signs on these things. All right, we're gonna do some mining. We're burning up our stuff, and I figure we throw a quick mining run to end this episode or near the end. And so what we're gonna do now? We're gonna go off and do some mining. Kind of collect. We need iron. We're kind of low on that, and grab whatever else. So we're gonna zip way out here, try to avoid the nearby cratering, and then pick a spot. And then dig down. We'll mine for a while until we fill up, and then I'll zip back in. I'll fill the outside locker with the ore, do all that now at speed, and then go back in the base and open the door and call it there. Find some water. We found some water. It was just right there, so we collected the water. So we'll go ahead and just throw it in the ice crusher and just build up our water supply in a bit. We're not quite ready to throw the training wheels off and go fully self-reliant yet. So definitely digging deeper is always useful. And we're full. We dig our way out. Yeah, the switching over to the heavy jetpack is definitely a big win. It makes you much faster. And speaking of faster, there's on number 4. There's like thrust up and thrust down. Did that make Does that mean I go up or down? Or does that mean it increases the amount of thrust I have available? I haven't tried. I could probably sit there and spend 1 minute to try that out, but I just haven't got to that. I just never really hit those buttons. I'm not sure if they're just going to make me go up and down or they increase the total amount of thrust I have available. Nobody's ever said anything about that, so I assume it just goes up and down versus using the key. All right, this is a little bit longer episode, a lot of construction going on, but that should get a lot of stuff going for the future. The next update, next episode, will take advantage of the update that came out on the I think the either the 12th or the 13th, whatever day it came out. As they're sort of fixing change, and that's a change that has a change with the double click. They fixed the double click. So the next episode, I won't have the double click anymore. I'll just switch over to the right click and the Q key. All right, until next time, see ya.